What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. We are here tonight officially releasing my top 5 worst movies of 2024. Now, these movies are all released during the 2024 movie year, but these are also movies that I ultimately felt were bad, they were not good, and I will get into the reasons why that is the case. But before we get into the top 5 list, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to go check out the top 10 list that I put out yesterday, which was the top 10 best movies of the year. And without further ado, let's get into my top 5 worst movies of 2024. Coming in at number 5 is Borderlands. Borderlands was a complete flop at the box office. It did draw people there. However, the reviews and the ratings were just atrocious. Now, with this movie, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was bad, but it was just not enjoyable at all. It was a very, very poor adaptation of a video game. And ultimately, I just felt almost like you wasted some time there. The addition of Kevin Hart in this movie, I think, also takes it away for me. I am not a big Kevin Hart fan. I don't think Kevin Hart's funny. I do not really watch anything that Kevin Hart is in. And this is a typical style of Kevin Hart. Almost forced comedy at specific parts where he thinks he is an action type character, and he's not. And ultimately, Borderlands was just a complete failure. Now, did it have its ups? Absolutely, like every movie does. But I felt like there were more downs within this movie than there were the ups. Coming in at number 4, this is a movie that I swore was going to be my least favorite movie of the year. However, there are 3 other movies that take the cake. And at number 4 is the movie ISS. ISS had a storyline that was very intriguing. A Russian and United States space group meet up in space. During that time, they're getting along, things are going great, but ultimately war breaks down on Earth between the US and Russia. And both the US and Russia space people are told that they must try to take each other out. And so you see these little battles take place, but I just think it was done very poorly. This movie was only like an hour and a half, and a film like this, I think, should have been around 2 hours. There should have been more action. There should have been more stressful situations. It should have provided the audience a lot more to it, and it didn't. Now, in this movie, there were a lot of people that walked out, and with that, it just kind of adds to how bad it was. But ISS comes in at number 4. Number 3 is Just an Imagination, and that is Imaginary. This is the movie where I quickly learned this year that PG-13 movies that are in the scary horror category are terrible. They're typically not good. This movie followed a family that moved into a childhood house, and in that aspect, you had the youngest stepdaughter find a bear named Chauncey, and in doing so, Chauncey's having her do these things to reach this magical place. And during this movie, it just wasn't good. There was nothing scary. There was nothing suspenseful. There was nothing that led you to believe that you were watching a film that is in the horror movie category. Now, at the end, I got up and was leaving, and just to find out that it basically had a double ending. It ended once, you thought everything was done, and then you're right back in the movie for like 4 more minutes, 5 more minutes or whatever. And so Imaginary was just terrible. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was scary. And really, I felt like I wasted my time. And you kind of saw how it was going to go because my local Regal showed this movie at the smallest theater that they had. It's Stadium 2, Auditorium 3 or 2, whatever you want to call it. And it was not good. Coming in at number 2, Number 2 is the movie that led a lot of people to complain, and it is Joker Folie Deux. Joker Folie Deux, in many ways, was a complete flop. I think when you take it to a musical aspect, even though I knew that was the case, you're taking away from what audiences want to see. Now, there are people that are going to enjoy it, which that's for every movie. I like movies that people do not like, but with this movie, I just did not find anything very entertaining. You're looking at the quote-unquote trial of the century for Arthur Fleck, and a lot of it really seemed to fall around his time in the jail. And with that, you have him take on Lady Gaga because her character is obsessed with him. I'm not even going to mention her character's name because I don't think she was right for the part. And it just creates this false narrative of who Arthur Fleck is. She realizes that, oh, maybe he's not the Joker. And so I feel like this movie left a lot of people disappointed and a lot of people upset, and it had every right to do so. For me, I knew something was up because I was the only one in my theater on opening night. And I saw it at like 6 o'clock. So being the only one in there and seeing kind of what it is, if you go to a movie and something happens and you're looking around to see how people are reacting, this I didn't have the ability to. However, I still stuck through it and toughed it out for a review, but toughed it out to just kind of see where it was going to go. Very, very disappointing movie for sure. And coming in at number 1 is a movie we are about to get a part 2 of, and that is Strangers Chapter 1. I thought Strangers Chapter 1 was an absolute letdown. When you look at the trailers and you're looking at the advertisements, you are looking at a movie that in essence is going to scare you. It's going to be suspenseful, and it was not. I did not watch this movie after the first time, and if I remember correctly, there were 3 parts in this movie that you could consider suspenseful. In the theater, there was me and one other person. And as we both walked out, will never forget, he looked at me and said, well, that sucked. And he was not wrong. The movie was absolutely atrocious. You could look at it from every perspective and see what was going to happen. You could see who the aggressors were, and the story just did not make sense. And with Chapter 2 coming out, the real question that they have got to really consider is, did they do more harm with the first part than releasing a second part and seeing what happens? Now, the trailer for Chapter 2 is officially out. It does look better, but it's still in that perspective of, is it going to be good or is it going to be bad? Now, this concludes my top 5 list. Borderlands, ISS, Imaginary, Joker, and Strangers Chapter 1 are all the top 5 movies I feel like were the worst of 2024. Now, there are other movies that could have been included in this list, and with them being included in this list, I just didn't decide to do an honorable mention type of video, but a lot of this is just based on my enjoyment, being in the theater, seeing over 200 movies, and just kind of seeing what my emotions were leaving it. But drop a comment below and let me know, what are your least favorite movies of the year? Do you agree, disagree? What would you change on this list? But let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to go check out the other reviews I have posted, and I will talk to you all later.